Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back to MCubed. We got sidetracked. Old Jay on board over here.
Oh.
We do have a special guest today, Chamber Stevens, who will be here shortly. He has a meeting that he has to go to, so we won't be staying like super long, but we got him for like 20, 30, 40. So we'll hang out and chat, discuss SAG, WGA, SAG maybe striking a little bit more, hopefully ending one strike, starting another. We've got options.
Yep.
Interesting things are happening. And after Chambers leaves, we might talk a little creator just for a little bit before we head out and get some sci-fi going. But how are you feeling, my friend?
I have a splitting headache, so let's go. I didn't sleep well last night, mate. I stupidly went and played snooker, and then I got myself a Chinese at like 11 o'clock at night. So then I got dehydrated in the middle of the night, so I woke up with a headache because I'm an idiot. But other than that, I'm grand. Do you know? So I've got a green background, so I match the rest of the things. It's like I actually in a forest.
It is quite beautiful, you know.
That's how it works. Yeah,
it's kind of great. Well, just for the sake of the spiel while I'm at it, y'all like, subscribe, comment, share this to all your people. We appreciate the hell out of it. And before we jump into things, let me do a little bit of an intro. We've got an Emmy-nominated playwright with us here today. You've seen him before. You'll see him again, hopefully. And
when did I get an Emmy?
Los Angeles. Say what?
When did I get an? I don't remember getting an Emmy or getting nominated for an Emmy.
Well, not yet. I'm talking future for you. You know, we're getting Stargate up into this one day. They'll hire us. I swear. Yeah. But we've got Chamber Stevens here, so welcome.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good.
How are you? Good morning. Jay, I'm Chambers. Nice meeting you.
Yeah. Have we met before?
No, you met. This is our
okay. Oh, something quite badly.
I think we're somewhere.
Can you hear an echo?
I think over there. Try settings, audio, and then press speaker, and maybe change where going out of it.
Well, my
fingers crossed. Did you see
how
well I did it? We got to tell. I feel like
we have gremlin.
You know? But we got some people. Laura's looking
forward. Can you hear me? Is that still echoing?
Echo?
Is it still echoing?
Yeah. Laura's here. David. Quest is here. Also, if you have headphones, that might work.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
You're good.
Whenever we talk. We hear reverberating.
We're echoing.
I'll tell you something funny.
We had
Christian on here yesterday. Talking Ahsoka. Same thing. That was pretty great.
Oh no, I'm sending them. Shit.
Wrong chat.
Is it on my end? Is it on my end, Harris?
Yes.
Yes.
I think what's going on is you're picking up what you're saying, and it's reverberating back.
Oh, okay.
So if you have headphones, a quick thing. But if not,
he's got his ear.
Give me 1 second, guys.
No worries. We have fun little time. You know, y'all can follow on Twitter. Same thing right here. And because it's my favorite intro. You can always go subscribe to our channel. It's just too fun. News too great. It is precisely.
Professionalism.
You've got
this.
all over us.
All over us.
This is introduction period.
All right, how embarrassing. Okay.
Don't worry.
It happens.
Yeah, maybe on.
That felt a little lower. Maybe I just didn't talk as loud.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
Right. For some reason they're coming out on my. They're not.
huh. I sounded like a ghoul.
There.
All right. Say goodbye to me, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and jump in.
We'll go ahead and jump in.
Yeah.
Tell us about Chamber Stevens then, because I thought we were talking to the guy I spoke to before.
No. This is a play. I mean, Greg
friend.
has written plays and stuff, but Chambers has written a lot of plays and put on many plays, and they're all fun. But yes, we're outgoing, but we're fixing it. Anyway, let's just get into a little bit of the nitty gritty. We might not have the 25 years of being in the industry type of experience to talk about it, but we've been watching this stuff for 25 years, so we can discuss a little bit about it. You know, we've got options nonetheless. So after 184 days, the Writers Guild of America has decided to end the strike alongside AMPTP. They've come to deals after 5 days sitting in a room. Celebratory, woo! But also, like, couldn't they have just sat down together? If it only took 5 days being in a room, they could have sat down 100 days ago and just done that, you know? Anyway,
as frustrating as that may be, tactics, wasn't it? They knew what they were. The studios knew exactly what they were doing.
Oh, completely. I'm just glad it's over at this point, and
nearly over.
Nearly.
Well, to sort out, but yeah.
Yeah, WGA technically ended today at midnight, so y'all's 6 a.m. Nice news to wake up to. Nice news to go to sleep to over here. And the hopes are at least that SAG-AFTRA follows suit within the next couple days, weeks, something of the sort. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean the rumor, like I spoke to somebody that is interested in these things, and they said the rumor is basically the model, what the WGA have agreed. The assumption by the studio is the actors will agree pretty much the same thing. It's because it covers all the things like AI and blah, blah, blah. So it's going to require some fine tuning, don't get me wrong, but pretty much.
That sounds about right. I feel like there's just a couple little issues that they're staggering.
There's a couple of issues that are a bit different, obviously, because you've got the using AI for background actors and things like this, and there's a few, and they want, and obviously the basic pay thing is a little bit different, but the general model is what they're going to sort of go, right, this is what the writers have done. How do we tweak this to fit what you want? But I mean, the if you believe the head of the WGA, was it the chairwoman talking about in the night, they're really happy with the general AI stuff. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And we're not hearing ourselves again, which means it should be good. Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me very clearly? Can you hear me clearly?
We can hear you loud and clear, my friend.
Okay.
So I guess just to start it off, because you do have the more experience.
Right. Just one thing. Jace just said one thing. Actually, before the actors stopped negotiating, they had actually already agreed on the AI part.
Oh, excellent. Oh, good.
Okay. Yeah, that's something that I just learned yesterday. They'd already agreed on that part. I mean, because really, unlike the writers, because you can't really, you can copyright your face. They don't really have access to that. That's partly, they can't really be doing that. Okay. It's against the law. Okay. So that they were going to try to do it is ridiculous. And
it's identity theft at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's totally.
AI
Wasn't-
is
Sorry, wasn't the sticking point that they were arguing sort of, well, if we change your face a little bit, though, we can get around copyright. I know there was some discussion, but that was all agreed. They said some like, if we
No,
change it like by 20%, we could get away, but that was all agreed and it's great. So what was the sticking point? Then? Why
well,
did they walk
you
away?
you did say one very important thing though. I heard an executive say, he said we should not be fighting SAG about the extras because we can just go to Romania and get as many people as we want.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I was like, what the hell? But so that means like every extra from now on may look like an Eastern European person. So that may be just, we'll see.
Yeah.
it happens. The
Well,
the, the, the
they've been cutting
non-union
and pasting
aspect.
backgrounds for years anyway, don't they? 'Cause, so if you have like Gladiator and you have a big battle sequence, there's only really like 100 people out there. They just like cut and paste. And there's
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, first, let's just say that the writers won. Woohoo! Okay, they won. Okay, and just everything that we say today, we have to understand that tonight the writers go to the Palladium in Hollywood to discuss the details. So I'm going to only be able to give a general view yet because the actual details themselves are not
Okay.
totally clear.
The legalese bit's got to be done, isn't it? The actual contract.
Yes.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
Exactly, Jay.
Okay. Cool. Well, with it taking, was it 2/3 of a year? A little over half. It's somewhere between half a year and 2/3 of a year. 184 days. Whew, that's a lot. But SAG's going to end up hopefully being a solid third of that time period because they've striked for 60, 70 days at the moment, I believe, something around that time. Do y'all think that just while we're thinking about AI, just generally at the moment, with them about to hopefully end and have things wrapped up within their own deals between AMTP and SAG and the writers and all that kind of stuff, with them voting on going to the video game strikes, do you think that's more pertinent or as pertinent, I guess, with AI and film? Because you can do 1 or 2 days of work on a video game and have tens of thousands of hours produced from that, where it's harder to do that, I guess, in a film kind of setting. So I feel like the AI is almost more pertinent with the video game stuff. Do y'all
Well,
think?
I have to disagree with the 1 or 2 days because of motion capture, there's more than 1 or 2 days. Okay.
Oh yeah, they're going to do a lot more.
One
But I
of
guess you can,
one of my friends is casting the new Star Wars game, and she's going all over the world casting this, and just finding the right people who can do all the things. It's very, very, very tricky. So it's going to be more than 1 or 2 days that they have to work. But you're right; they have to, sometimes it can take a long time. And do you see the head of Capcom yesterday said that video games are way too low priced and that they need to be raised a lot. So who knows? This may be part of the deal.
would that be a good thing or bad thing, y'all think? Because honestly, video games are getting more and more pricey.
They're quite expensive. Yeah. And what was the main sticking points with the game? So, because I thought it was about sort of like residuals and pay more than AI and things, wasn't it? That was my understanding. But I only looked at it. I don't really care about games, so I didn't really look at it in any detail after that.
Well, it also pertains to
I
voice
don't-
acting. The video game aspect of things pertains to voice acting as much as actually like getting that motion capture thing, and a little bit of hyperbole with 1 or 2 days, but like in that sort of environment, you can get much more per capita than you're getting on set necessarily. They can extend what they get much more in a video game world, and that is scary for actors. That is your likeness. Talk about identity theft. That is your likeness being able to be utilized much more than you may have ever, much less thought, may have ever signed up for as well.
The AI with voices though is terrifying because it is really accurate. I mean, it's really good.
And if you allow them to train that,
there's a band over here that uses AI to make them sound like Liam Gallagher from Oasis, but then they release new material, but it sounds like Oasis, and they've got around all the copyright because it's not an Oasis song. Because yes, but it sounds like me, but it's not an Oasis song. And I think Liam Gallagher apparently thinks that's quite funny and he's like talked about it and said like this band's great. If that band went to #1 and made $1 million, I think the Oasis would think very differently.
Oh yeah,
Like,
they want a little slice of the pie.
Yeah. So, but it is really good. Isn't thingy with Hogwarts and the I forgot his name.
Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry. His agents are suing because they took his voice and they started using it for various things. So in America we have your Oasis thing. We have the great Johnny Cash singing the Barbie song. That's our AI thing. Yeah, you got to listen to it. It's really fantastic. Johnny Cash is so good singing the Barbie song. It's really fantastic.
That sounds like the epitome of Barbenheimer right there. Just
right.
So just thinking acting wise for SAG and video games, do you think that this will be solved more quickly, or do you think this could last longer? Because if I remember correctly, I think it's 2014 or 2016 was the last time SAG striked against video games. At least it's been a long time since they've striked prior to that, but video games they striked in 2014 or 2016, one of the two. And I think it went on.
Well, first of all, we don't. They don't negotiate with the AMPTP. Okay, so they don't negotiate with those guys. So
different thing.
Yeah, so those guys might be, those might be very much easier to make happen. All right, we don't really know. I mean, I don't know if any of those people actually agree with each other anyway. I mean, the video game people are so, they have thousands and thousands of employees. You never know what they're happening. It seems like, one time I went to visit Pixar. A friend of mine gave me a private tour of Pixar, and like when they go to the Lion King, they make like 10 teams of the Lion King, and each team makes their own versions of what the Lion King would look like, and then they do all of this work, like hundreds and thousands of hours of work, and then they decide, okay, we're going to go with this one.
Really?
Okay, so all those other paintings they're never even seen again. Okay, all right, and that's kind of the way video games are. They're always like working on all these things, and you never know if it's going to be a DLC or what it's going to be like that. So I don't know. They don't get along, and Square Enix right now is releasing the Marvel thing, and it did so terrible. You never know exactly what is happening with the video games. They're so secretive,
and they take years as well. I mean, but the Stargate is my thing. I'm becoming slightly obsessed with. I really need to see somebody about it because it's becoming a problem. It's going to become a problem in life. But the Stargate game has just come out. We were expecting it like 2 years ago. And it's just about to come out. These things take years to develop sometimes. And they are really secretive. And it is like when Microsoft are releasing something new, they go, we're going to release it in November, next spring, next summer. We'll release it when we bloody well like, sort of thing. Work with computer games in particular. It's
Starfield's the perfect example right now with Bethesda and owned by Microsoft now. That took decades to make, and then in between their games they continually make it. Elder Scrolls 6, the last game they made for that was the 5th one. Skyrim in 2011. Fallout was I think 6 or 7 years before they made another one, so on and so forth. These things, and if they're really good games, they can take almost a decade, which makes sense if there's thousands of hours in them. But if those thousands of hours are using motion capture and people's voices and people's likeness, I guess it can get iffy quickly. Especially if they're not being paid properly, or if they're overutilizing the likeness per se. Yeah. 25 years to create Starfield. Beautiful.
Madness.
Wow.
So I'd be interested to know, because obviously the WGA has got this agreement now. There seems to be an assumption that the actors it won't take too long because what the writers have agreed, the actors. It's very different in lots of different ways, but the basic model of what's been agreed, the actors will probably, take. Do you think that's fair, or?
Okay, so that's what everyone is saying. That's what everyone is saying that they think so. I heard some really major industry insiders say yesterday, though, that they think the whole thing will be done by Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, which is in the end of November. Which I was hoping it would be faster than that. But you have to also remember that there's no scripts right now for them to act in. So they first have to, so the writers are writing right now. So it's okay for them to not be exactly right now. The people I feel really sorry for is the crew, because the crew people have not worked for a long time, and they are really the ones in trouble.
6 months.
Yeah, there's not enough commercials to keep them busy. there's
somebody that
some.
works at one of the agencies told me that they believe that the studios are looking at November 1st. They really, really want this. If it gets this November 1st, if the actors can push that long, they might get a few more successions. But the writers have because they want to be back to work by Christmas was basically what I was told. So which would make sense by sort of Thanksgiving sort of thing.
Yeah,
so,
get that holiday stuff out there.
Yeah. Maybe.
So
I don't think we're getting any holiday specials or anything this year, mate. It's just too late.
Someone might try to rush it, but it's going to feel rushed. And I just
some
don't
live,
think we'll...
might get some live stuff, but we won't. I don't think we'll get anything more.
Yeah, that makes sense. So okay,
that's one thing that's so. Harris, did you know about the? I love the British holiday specials. So they have all these Christmas shows that show up on Christmas. Okay, I have to watch them with my VPN, pretending I'm a British citizen. Okay, but it's all the families that get together, they open their presents, and then they watch the most horrible, horrifying murder mysteries where people are just like murdered like crazy, and the whole family's like, woohoo! They try to guess who got killed. Okay.
Yeah. And they always look, and the weather's always beautiful, but it'll always snow at the end because these things are like filmed in June. Yeah, we get a big thing that you'll get a season of something earlier in the year, and then they have the Christmas special in December sort of thing. And yeah, it is a decent tradition we have in this country. But this year we got Doctor Who, so we're getting a Doctor Who special for the first time in a while. But yeah, somebody will get murdered, but there's a Christmas tree, so it's okay.
Doctor Who.
Yeah, Americans, we don't murder on Christmas. We murder other days, but we're really interested in your murder holiday specials.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Oh, yeah, we love it.
Well, I know. Isn't Twain's a big Doctor Who person, isn't he?
Yeah, my son's whole bedroom is decorated in Doctor Who, and he has a TARDIS in there and everything.
Well, he's going to enjoy the next couple of months then.
We're hoping.
Right. So just think about the WGA stuff again real quick. We're talking about how quickly they can come back and start putting these new scripts into effect. And I say new scripts because we know damn well all these people have been writing over the.
Okay. So they can actually start today, this morning. Yeah. They can start.
But how? I guess what's the grace period from people? When does it look like they didn't write over the strike?
Okay.
How long can they wait? Look what I did this morning.
Right, but that's a little confusing. Okay, that's a little confusing. So let's say, for example, that that you sold a movie idea. Okay, you sold a movie idea, and then when you sell it, they pay you part of it. They pay you part of it already, and you're not supposed. So the Writers Guild said you're not supposed to write between because you. But a lot of writers are like, hey, hold on. He paid me something. They paid me already, so I'm going to write the first part because when the strike is over, I turn it in. I get paid the second part. So they need the money. So that I feel like that's okay. The other part, though, is a TV show. Though you can't write it all, okay? Because there's no like you don't know what the next part of the stories haven't been broken yet, okay? So that doesn't make sense that they would be writing during the strike. They can't write anything because they don't know exactly what's going.
Yeah.
And they haven't been paid for that part. So why would they be writing? Now, what a lot of people did is they came up with ideas for movies that they was called the spec script, and which you don't get paid for, but you can sell for a lot of money if you're lucky. Okay. And a lot of writers probably did that during the time.
I'm just hoping because it has to be like you said, like if they are commissioned for something, they're writing that. If they're not commissioned, they're obviously not going to be writing something unless it is more of a passion project. I'm really hoping with the creator coming out this weekend, tomorrow, precisely, I'm hoping these passion projects are kind of going to come into fruition a lot more. Hopefully, y'all think that might be a case? Do you think we might get more original IP than we've gotten in the last decade, just about in the next year?
I don't know how executives are going to react to the very volatile market in the cinema. I think there's a lot of studios that really don't understand why some movies make billions of dollars and others don't. And so if they might go the way of thinking, well, let's take some more risks. But the franchises aren't doing well, are they? So
yeah, that's the other thought process there. But at the same time, the creator, just to run the dead horse down, it's not estimated to do very well at the box office. which sucks because it's getting some of the best reviews of films literally ever gotten. So is that gonna
Well, the title sucks. The title sucks, and the posters suck. And I was shocked when I saw that everyone went to the theater and they loved it so much. And also, Emma Stone has a new TV show which they're advertising like crazy called The Creature, and The Creature and The Creator sound almost alike. So one's on Showtime and one's in the theater. So it's confusing. I keep saying The Creature when I mean The Creator, and The Creator when I mean The Creature. And I think those kind of things are just,
it does need a better title. It had a different title that wasn't better at all. What was it, Jamie? Because that's what you thought it was for a while.
Yeah, because I was told about it years ago. It was
Loving something, right?
Love something. So I thought, and the guy kept using it, but that was the working title, and I didn't know they changed it. So I was told, there's this new film coming apparently, and the guys have seen some of the early footage and think it's amazing. And you were like, yeah, the creator. Oh, I didn't realize it was the same thing.
We've been talking about the same movie for weeks, and it was The Creator, but it had a different working title that Gareth.
Okay, so you two, who are the smartest people I know in science fiction, can't get it together and know what it's about. Then how is Middle America going to know? How is just people in Leeds and York and those places going to know what the hell things are going on? All right.
Well,
they're not going to know.
Yeah,
I got confused by it. So.
That's the biggest issue with this marketing for sure. And I hope.
And the last time we.
Oh,
sorry, what?
I was going to say, actually, looking at the trailer, I look at that and I think, oh, high concept sci-fi. This is going to be very interesting. I know Harris is looking at it going, oh, this will be a slow burn. This will be awesome. I think a lot of people are looking at it going, I've seen that film before. Can't be asked that.
It looks familiar, and that I don't think is going to play in its favor. Everyone says it's not as familiar as we think it is, but if it comes off that way in the trailer, I think that's one of the things that will make it hard for people to put their butts in seats, essentially.
I think it's a lottery at the moment anyway. I don't think it could do anything.
Yeah,
it could make $5 million. It could make $500 million at the moment. It's very difficult to judge what movies are going to do at the moment. I really think it could do anything.
What studio is that?
The Creator. It's an independent studio, but not like a small independent studio.
We'll Google it. Actually, it's hard to Google though as well because you put creator in, all sorts comes up.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Straight away, and there was a movie back in the day called Creator as well, wasn't there? So,
movie studio.
It's 20th Century Studios distributing it.
Oh, that's right, because it is Disney. It's technically Disney, so. I don't know. They have a decent marketing budget. I just don't know if they've marketed in a way to make people excited for it. Intrigued, maybe, but excited enough to go buy a ticket. Word of mouth's going to have to be good.
Hans Zimmer did the music. That's a good name. I think he's going to go far. I think he could do. I think Regency Enterprises is one of the production companies. Was Regency.
This is a good point, Peter. Hollywood's out of touch with Middle America. That's kind of always been the case to a degree, very much so, and I guess the last couple decades probably. But high concept films like this kind of tend to supersede people living in specific places, I guess, just because it's such a high concept thing. It makes us think no matter where you are, no matter who you are, kind of deal. It's just is the marketing going to get people in there? And we're talking with WGA and SAG stuff with their one of their biggest things that they're talking about in these deals is AI and how bad it can be for humanity. And now we're trying to humanize AI and the creator to a degree. Maybe it puts a bad taste in some people's mouth.
Okay, but wasn't the last Mission Impossible movie also about AI?
Yes, it was.
So
bad AI.
Well, okay, so there you go. So we have like this, it's like, okay, people think they just saw that movie recently. And Denzel Washington's son is not yet a big name, and he can't be in any of the talk shows to talk about the movie because he's on strike. So therefore, no one knows about it.
That's a good point as well. I am glad they didn't move it though.
What was the budget?
80 million. So it's not a huge.
Here's a little thing about the people being on talk shows, and I'm sorry I have to go in a little bit because we're continuing to strike, and I'm a strike appointment. But so when Lionel Richie sang at the famous Olympics, 1 billion people saw him. He had just released an album. The next week, his album went up one notch in the charts. 1 billion people saw him. His album went up only one notch in the charts. His manager was so depressed, and he came up with an idea. Why don't he put him on Jay Leno, Conan, and David Letterman all in the same week? Now, the combined audience for those people would only be like 40 million people, okay? A far cry from 1 billion. His album moved up 27 slots the next week when he did that, okay? Because the concept is the more you see people, okay, the more you see. So if the creator was on all those shows and the morning shows and all those other things, people just all of a sudden they feel like they have to see it, okay? Now they don't even know what it's about. You two science fiction experts can't even basically agree what it's about and what is coming on and what's whatever. You know what I mean? Because we don't know. We haven't had the information. So that is one of the points that I think has really suffered, and the movie industry needs to get these actors back so they can talk about the movies.
Yeah. There's definitely been a PR problem. This film is that I didn't even know it was out this week until a couple of days ago. I knew it was coming. I didn't know it was out Thursday, because, like you said, there's no thing. And there's and like I said, we were talking about this was it 6 weeks ago, and I got the title wrong.
Yeah.
There's
that last weekend, I was so excited. I thought it was coming out on the 22nd, and I was pumped last Thursday. And I went to Regal to go get my ticket. I was like, I got my 50-cent ticket on my app. I'm so pumped, just to realize it wasn't going to come out. So what I watched was Expendables 4, and that was so depressing. That was. I love me some Expendables, but that fourth one was bad.
Well, the movie to see this weekend, though, and I believe he's British. Is John Kerry? Is that how you say his name? He did Sling. He did Once is his first film that was really popular, and Sing Street, okay, and Begin Again. And he has a new movie coming out on Apple this week, Flora and blah blah blah, whatever it's called. But it's going to be free on Apple. And Bono's daughter plays the lead, and the reviews are fantastic. And so I recommend everybody see that film. I love his last 3 films. They're one of my favorite films of all time, especially Sing Street. That's a great film.
They were talking about maybe even getting a limited cinema run with that, because it's got such good sort of previews and everything.
You know, in America, it did get it. We got it last weekend. We got that, but that was confusing. I turned on Apple all week to try to watch it, and it was in the cinema because I have a billboard actually outside my townhouse, and I thought, hey, but it said, it had the date, but I saw a little date on Apple the next week. So even I've been excited about that for like 6 months, and I messed it up.
They obviously think it's maybe award sort of thing, because they've got to get through the category still, because they haven't changed the rules yet, have they? I don't think, with the Academy. So
no, you have to have 1 week in this, some 1 week.
So they obviously think it's maybe they want to get it categorized, and they say interesting. I will look forward to it. I'll be watching that this weekend.
So gentlemen, I have to go. It was nice talking to you, but I have to be on the line at a certain time, otherwise they'll throw me off. Okay.
No problem, sir.
Yeah.
We will
see you guys soon. Bye.
See you, Chambers. Well, sci-fi. Oh, wait. Oh, there we go. That's the one I wanted to click there.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. Also, there are many movies I don't like. I just try to be optimistic, but when it's that bad, there's no optimism left. It dissipates when it's that bad. I had two questions for Chambers that I wanted to toss in there, but I know you have to like hop in that line quick. So one we cannot ask, but he did put out a little thing on Facebook the other day. He's always tossing stuff on Facebook, as people do. He put out what he thought would be the Academy nominees so far and who would win out of those nominees. I would be intrigued to hear what he would think and what y'all would think. So put it in the comments below. Do you think with the creator, even though, like what we said, it might not be the biggest hit in the world, the reviews are phenomenal. Phenomenal. Does the creator...
It could win, and I think the effects and things, it's got a good chance of that. And to be honest, if it does get nominated, it won't be good for it.
Really?
The Academy Awards are such a negative thing around those now. And I'm
I don't
telling
think
you,
so.
I have never seen a movie that won Best Picture that I've enjoyed.
Lord
Except
of the
maybe
Rings.
like I think Saving Private Ryan.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings did actually get Best Picture, or the first one did.
Third one for sure. I think was it the
I know it
first
got like
and
11
third?
Academy Awards or something stupid, but
Mm-hmm. Did
but
you
yeah,
enjoy Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Sorry?
Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yeah, no, that was good.
Yeah.
Most years, the Academy, the Best Picture is awful. It's boring. Most years. And to be honest, everything always, everything, all at once. Try and get it out. Loved it first time. I wouldn't watch it again though. It's very long.
Really?
Yeah,
I saw it 5 times in theaters.
It goes on a bit. You'd love it 'cause it's a slow burn, but I don't think it's going on a bit. And
I
it like
do.
ends like 3 times. It's like, oh, that was a great movie. Oh, it's still going. It's
It
like
gets better at those points, which is kind of great.
yeah, but I wouldn't watch it again. But I did love it. I did enjoy watching it. But you just know, like, I'm watching that again.
Right.
So,
See, I love me some prestige films. So usually I do tend to enjoy the winners, but there's almost always like half a dozen, not half a dozen. There are only half a dozen nominees, but 2 or 3 of the other nominees I tend to think should have typically won over that. But not recently.
And what have you. But yeah, I think the proper film. The people that are thinking about these things, they think about films in a different way to what we do generally, and they're looking at the art of it, and we're all just looking at that guy just punched that guy in the face. It's like,
well, I look at the art of it too, but like Laura thinks or says, I am optimistic. I like to enjoy any film I'm watching, but I want every film to be a prestige film. Like if Stargate turned prestige, if Tremors turned prestige, if B movies and C movies were no longer a thing in a few years, and everything was like treated in a prestige type of way, there would be a void, but I wouldn't be too mad.
I would like to see an Oscar for the most entertaining movie of the year, and
see
Best Picture. How many times does Best Picture equate to highest box office?
Very rarely. Very, very rarely.
Sometimes, but not often. So I would actually say they're talking about Best Picture. I want to see the Academy Award for most popular movie of the year, because that's I think what people, it's basically Best Picture is what a very small number of people think is the best picture that year, but people vote with their feet. And how many Marvel movies have been put up for Academy Awards other than like maybe for effects? That's not
just Black Panther, I think.
Black Panther, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my point, But those are some of the most popular movies of the last 10 years. Lord of the Rings Oscars is pretty much the one thing that, like, the exception that proves the rule, sort of thing. And maybe like Titanic when that came out, I think that did. But that's from point. It's a handful. Most years, Best Picture is a fucking yawn fest that nobody goes to the cinema to watch.
Well, I mean, that's not the point, but I think it's the point that these blockbusters are not necessarily the ones, like, they have to be a certain quality to be nominated to a degree. And I don't think, name a blockbuster this year that deserved that.
God, no.
But that's the thing. I think that's dangerous. I think it's dangerous in a way for us as an audience. I'm gonna join Scorsese's into some of the things he's saying right now. Where I love comic book movies. I love sci-fi movies. I'm in. Y'all see me talk about this stuff all the time. I'm in. But it is dangerous to the way we as an audience and as a species perceive these things. And these are the things that we tackle all the time and go back and watch. If we lose the prestige aspect of things, we lose a goal point. We lose a goalpost. We lose something that we strive to be and strive to achieve. And instead it's just like, hey, I'm a capitalist till the cows come home too. I'm from oil country. ExxonMobil's headquartered in my hometown. So I like money. Like as much as anybody. But there needs to be art. And that's the whole point of the film industry, I think. And the Oscars did, a couple years ago, they included a best blockbuster. And then they took it out before they even allowed the nominations to go forward. The Golden Globes did just do that.
is the problem, though, that with it being prestige and stuff, that people are watching the Oscars less and less. They watch the Emmys less and less.
That's part of it.
The
But
problem with it becoming irrelevant and quite quickly becoming irrelevant.
I'd see, even if
The
they're not
Oscars
viewed as
stuff.
much, I don't think they're becoming irrelevant. I don't think they ever have, because that's still something people strive for, and it is also something that highlights the films that are phenomenal that people didn't necessarily go see, and it always boosts
Then
them.
about relevance of the Oscars. Do you think? I mean, you could probably name a few, but do you think 90% of the population could name the last 10 Oscar-winning
Oh no,
best movies, or Oscar-winning actors, or Oscar-winning? Think no, they
I
can't.
couldn't do it off the top of my head.
I can't tell you what won last year.
Yeah, well, I might be able to, but
It's
I can
because-
give you a good chunk. But you get 6 or 7 years back, I'll be like, huh? But I
No.
don't think that's necessarily the point of it. You know, these
No,
are
but I mean,
landmarks for people's
if-
careers.
If people
And that-
don't, yeah, it's not. It has. I don't think it has the prestige that it used to. I think that's my point, because
But
it's becoming something separate.
I
think
guess I'm thinking of it as an actor and stuff like that. It might not matter to the general public, but in this industry, that is something for you to strive towards. And if it turns into just who had the biggest blockbusters, Mark Wahlberg would be winning everything. He's not the good actor. He's not Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't get the biggest box office stuff. So, then again, he's not even nominated. He's nominated all the time. He doesn't win most of the time. But the award shows, that's why I don't think they're losing relevancy. They might be losing relevancy to the broader public, but it will never lose its relevancy if it's held to the standards it's held to now.
Do you know what I think?
Not necessarily now. It has been.
Just more important with the Oscars, and this is ridiculous, is what the actresses are wearing. That's what people remember. They don't remember then what wins. And for me, the Oscars are pretty much irrelevant. But I can understand that it's the most prestigious award, and that the actors, and not just the actors, the directors, the producers, even all these people. Because if you get nominated and you get a tip of the hat, and that it is a high standard. Yes, Age of Ultron did not win an Oscar that I remember. They might have won for special effects. I can't remember. But isn't that the point, that they're not making a film for, and it's not trying to do something that's artistic and different and blah. They're making a popcorn movie, and it's different. So no, I understand that, and I'm being a little bit devil's advocate here, but, but for the wider audience, it's irrelevant.
Well, like I was saying a minute ago, though, like there's room for them to join together if we could have every popcorn flick turn into a prestige flick at the same, like Dune. Like if we could all have like Dune type popcorn flicks all the time, like, but Star Wars, if we could have Lord of the Rings, Dunes, just that was like our general, like, people like that. If the studios and the people making them cared as much, like, you can't tell me, as much as I love a lot of the Marvel stuff, you can't tell me even you can't tell me the people making Ant-Man or Spider-Man cared about it the same way that Peter Jackson cared about Lord of the Rings, or that Denis Villeneuve cares about Dune, or that even David Lynch cared about Dune back in the day, you know? And
so the MTV still has a movie awards.
Oh yeah,
do they? They're still a thing,
and they're more fun than the Grammys, honestly. That's fun.
Best Kiss. Best movie was Spider-Man: No Way Home. Best fight was Sydney Sweeney in Euphoria. And there's 2 best fight awards, male and female, I assume. MTV Generation Award went to Jennifer Lopez. Best villain, Daniel Radcliffe in Lost City. That was awful in that. Best hero, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. Most frightening performance, Jenna Ortega in Scream. She wasn't the villain. She wasn't frightening.
Frightening. She just turned 21, by the way. That's insane.
Yeah. Oh, she's amazing. I do love her.
I thought she was like 24 or 5.
Holland. Yeah, this is the award ceremony I'm on about that people actually will watch. Best
Either
team,
that or Nickelodeon with the green slime.
Loki won best team. Loki was awful. Well, no, I started.
And there's only a team for one episode.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I think I'm looking at the 2022 winners. 2021,
Mhm.
2022,
Or some
2023.
of those are older than that too, like
Yeah,
Black
Scream
Widow and
6 won Best Movie in 2023. Sorry, Scream
which one?
6. I just watched that last week, for the love of God. Scream
Ooh.
6. Best Fight, Courtney Cox in Scream 6. Elizabeth Olsen won Best Villain for Doctor
She didn't do
Strange.
bad, but she ain't anywhere in the best category.
Best Hero, Pedro Pascal. I think, and for The Last of Us, he's an anti-hero by the end of that.
And I was like, wait, huh?
Best Comedy Performance.
Season 2 coming soon.
Adam
Best comedy
Sandler
performance
in
too.
Murder Mystery 2, for the love of God.
I love me some Adam Sandler, but oh, that's just
Right.
not the case.
Scream 6 won Best Movie. It's not even the best Scream movie. Definitely, never mind the best movie last year. But Top Gun Maverick, he won Best Performance. How did that not win Best Movie?
And that's the MTV Awards?
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Way more interesting than him. And Best Kiss was Rudy Pando in Outer Banks. It's always when girls kiss each other that win Best Kisses in that show.
I wonder
See, he's
why.
voting for these things. But it's voted for by the public, isn't it? I think the MTV Awards. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
So this
I love silly, like fun awards like that. There's room for both. Which just to kind of bridge the gap a little bit, the Golden Globes did add 2 new categories, I believe yesterday.
Hmm.
One of which being Best Blockbuster of the Year. But that it's iffy and it's confusing and it's weird because
Whatever blockbuster.
Exactly. They categorize it as any film that made over $150 million, which means Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that just came out, it was a success and did really well, but it barely made over 100. I mean, actually, it did like.
They're going to struggle with any film making over 100. Basically, it's going to be Barbie.
But also, think about it's going to be Barbie or Oppenheimer, something like that.
Did Oppenheimer make over $150 million? I know it did well. I made 300 or 400 million in the end, didn't it? I think
it made 900 something million.
No, it didn't hit the billion anyway. But I didn't think it made that much.
It did over worldwide because it's Nolan's second highest grossing film now, behind
one of the Batmans.
Dark Knight, I think Dark Knight, not right. It's either Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises, one of the two.
Takings.
But the thing that I'm kind of confused about with the Golden Globes doing the blockbuster thing is $150 million. Say what?
$912 million worldwide.
Beautiful. Especially for a rated R film. But Golden Globes doing this, $150 million. Technically, The Flash is a blockbuster, even though it lost money.
Did it make over $150 million?
It made over $150 million. It was like 154.
Worldwide, though. Worldwide, $150 million is
nothing. That's the stipulations for it. So it is a blockbuster by technicality, going against something like Barbie that just became the 12th highest grossing film ever. Does that make sense?
No, not at all. I was watching people talking about that Barbie was going to be a massive flop, and then actually a lot of insiders were really worried about Barbie. And then look what happened, because people watched it and they went, people aren't going to get this. People are going to get and a lot of people are going to get really angry about what we're talking about, and a lot of parents are going to get really, really angry when they take their little daughters in to watch this movie, and it's basically a political. It's very political.
Yeah.
And they were really worried it was going to bomb badly, and then it made it's made money. But my friend actually, she took her daughters to watch it, and when she came out, she was just like, for the love of God, they're going to have questions. I thought I don't want to answer, but they didn't. They just came out and went, Bobby's eyes, and they didn't. It went straight over their heads.
The young, because I think all that stuff was true. I think all that did happen, but then stuff like that happened where the kids didn't understand that kind of stuff, and they enjoyed it for Will Ferrell dancing around, and then Barbie having like the little scenes going between the different worlds and stuff. There is the mundanity to it where children can enjoy it just as much. It's a good thing that they're not walking out of the theater and asking their mom about the very last line of the movie, though. It'd be pretty damn funny, but it would be, we'll talk about that another time.
Does Barbie hate Daddy? Should I hate Daddy?
I'm going to the gynecologist. It's like it's the. It is funny as hell. I do love Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, the people that wrote it. It's surprising. No, you were saying earlier, if I can even speak, that it's hard to gauge what a film's going to do nowadays.
I think so.
Would anybody in their right mind have guessed Barbie would have made more money than Fast X this year?
See, the problem is traditionally Barbie would make a crap load of money because it's just a Barbie movie. No, I say that though. We've had films like that in the past, and they've bombed because people are just like, "Why the hell would I want to go? How is that going to work?" But if it's a bad film, it gets around quickly, doesn't it? It's a bad film, and
True.
So in the past, I mean, like G.I. Joe, in theory, should have done great in America, and it did shocking, because it was awful, and it got a sequel. Still don't know how.
That was even worse.
Yeah, and then it got that Snake Eyes movie, which is even worse again.
It was even worse.
So but then movies like Transformers, not a great film in lots of ways, but it absolutely smashed it because it was a Transformers movie. So Barbie was a hard one to judge, really, and I can understand why some people thought it was going to bomb, but it's not a hard one under the desk. That sounds rude.
Because I have this stand-up desk, so it's kind of shaky whenever I knock it around, as you've seen a million times.
It wobbles around so much.
That's what wobbles. It's a stand-up desk, so whenever I stand up, it's great. But whenever I'm just leaning over and I move too much or smack it a little bit, it'll shake some.
I'm getting a stand-up desk. I need a stand-up desk because of my poor back. No. Generally speaking. David's comments there. He's really upset about it. I'm sorry, man. I'd like to say we won't talk about it now. We'll talk about it in the live at the weekend because I still can't decide if it's genius or madness.
I haven't seen the video yet, but I'm pumped to.
We'll talk about it on Sunday because it's crazy. But no, I wouldn't have thought that. Well, who would have thought Indiana Jones would bomb that badly? Okay, I know Crystal Skull was a bad movie, but it still did very well at the box office.
Almost twice as well as this one.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not even thinking about inflation sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it shouldn't have bombed, but it did. And actually, it's not a bad movie, and it's still bombed. So no, the world of cinema at the moment is a confusing fella, and the problem is there's too many people still that don't want to go to the cinema since COVID, and never mind the whole streaming thing.
I don't believe that though. After Avatar 2 and Barbenheimer, people will go to the movie theaters.
No, they will for things like something but they have to really want to go to see it.
They don't want to go consistently yet.
There's quite a lot of people that still don't want to go in crowds and still think, or have just got out of the habit and haven't really got back into. That's what one person said to me. She said, I don't go to the cinema anymore since COVID. And it's like, well, why? Were you going to get COVID? He goes, no, I just sort of got out of the habit. I'm just like, well,
makes sense.
It didn't really make sense to me. But on the other hand, I'm thinking it's the perfect storm. There was the streaming thing, and then COVID just beat us out of the habit. Theaters are having the same problem. They can't get people back in bums in seats. Not to the numbers they were getting pre-COVID. So there you go. It is a problem. And to be honest, but I was going to say, streaming now, there are parallels between streaming right now and the release of The Video Shop back in the 80s and 90s and Blockbuster. Okay. Cinemas nearly died. They really struggled for about 10 years. But then people returned, and then we started to get a renaissance really in the sort of like the 90s. Sort of there was a renaissance of cinemas, and they were back. I think there's a similar thing at the moment, that we've got a bit of a thing at the moment where there's going to be a bit of a lull in numbers because people are staying away because of streaming services and then COVID and blah blah blah. But it will come back because it's an event to go to the cinema. It always will be.
Yeah.
It's much better to watch a movie in the cinema with other people than it is to watch it at home on your own. It's just better.
Another parallel to draw there is like in the 80s, not to the degree we have today, obviously, but there were a multitude of sequels. It was sequels, or it was big movie stars doing the same type of movie over and over and over and over and over and over again.
The big action movie, the Arnie movie.
Yeah, Arnie or Stallone. And if they didn't choose one, the other one was going to choose it and do that one, you know? Do you think...
Sorry, there's a holy trinity of problems there. I just mentioned that I've just stolen somebody's comment there, but there's a whole trinity of problems as well, sorry, because there's a cost of living crisis as well. It's a perfect storm against the cinemas. They are going to struggle for the next 5 years or so, I think.
I guess that's true. See, one thing, MoviePass is amazing. I'm glad MoviePass is actually back and doing decently this time. I actually might cancel mine soon though, because I'm a member of Regal and I'm a member of Cinemark, and I pay because I see so many movies. I have to pay $40 a month to go to the MoviePass one to fit, I think, 11 to 15 movies, and that's not even as many movies as I see a month typically, you know. So Regal and Cinemark, where you either get one free movie a month for Cinemark, and then you can kind of add points and let it like go over and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Regal, I pay $21 a month, and then every movie's 50 cents. It makes going to the theaters makes sense in that way. I don't know how we advertise that to people more, because they obviously try to all the time. But I don't think I think those are the ways to get people back in seats. And like Sarah's saying, originality.
It's got to be cost effective to go. Definitely, we need more movies to actually want to go and watch. That's my main problem. Is that there aren't enough movies that I actually want to go. I pay $14.99 a month, which is about $20, and I can go as many times as I like. The problem is there aren't that many movies I desperately want to go and watch at the cinema. So we go maybe once a month, but a ticket costs about £15 as well. So we go, me and the wife are like, as long as we go once a month, it's not costing us money sort of thing. And then every so often we'll go a couple of times a month and like, hey, we're quids in.
So what you just said and what David kind of added here, I think you need a big franchise like Lord of the Rings to get people excited to go to the cinema. Even if you're paying that and you do have like a blockbuster a month that's like worth bringing the family out to and something like that, what would it take for you to be intrigued enough to go, well, you know what, I've got a couple free hours on a Tuesday afternoon or something like that, and just go back? Because people used to do that. They'd just say, you know what, I'm gonna go to the movie theater, see what's there. What would we need to do to get back to that point as a society, I guess, or just the way we think about film in theaters?
I honestly think films need to become a little bit more exclusive. Streaming services need to stop showing every damn movie within a week of it coming out of the cinema.
I agree.
I think this thing about streaming services doing this home premiere thing, where I know it's like £20 to watch the movie, they need to stop doing that as well. When a movie's at the cinema, it needs to be in the cinema. It needs to be special, because it is expensive to go to the cinema. If I want to take my kids to the cinema, it's £100 just for the tickets, and then they want nachos and everything. So it needs to be special, and then there needs to be a delay until it ends up on streaming services. Disney, I think, has royally shot itself in the foot by pushing Disney Plus. They get the films on there way too quick, and even I'm going to watch a Disney film. It'll be on Disney Plus in a couple of months. Why am I going to the cinema? So they've shot themselves in the foot, and I think that's one of the reasons why almost no Disney movie in the last 2 years has done well. I do think that's a factor. I don't think it's the only factor, but I think it's a factor.
It's not the only one, but it's if not the heaviest one, it's up there as one of the heavier factors. Yeah.
And then what we really need is, I know all the big studios are going franchise, and they're looking at like Harry Potter. It's a most underused franchise there. Lord of the Rings, the most underused franchise. And we'll always have the big franchises. But we need better advertising. We need better. We need the actors back, like Chambers was saying, that actually to talk about these things and to excite us about them. We need a continuation of. We need a mix of movies, though. We need franchises. We need something original. And I think we get that to a degree. But Marvel shot itself in the foot with quality over quantity. DC never even bothered with the quality, sorry. And we need better films. And that sounds stupid, but Marvel was so used to making shed loads of money. I think they got greedy, and it suffered. We need better films.
So that's something that I guess we have. We have better films right now. No one's going to see them though. That's the issue. I think is the hard part. It's there are better films, just to a much smaller degree. It's not necessarily big third act CGI monsters coming to fight everybody and then Skybeam comes down kind of deal. You know, there are these movies. I want to say it was either 2021. I think it was late 2021 or it might have been early 2022. Or no, we're in 2023. Whatever the hell year we're in now. I think it was mid 2022 then, or early this year. I'm pretty sure it was late last year. The Outfit with Mark Rylance, Dylan O'Brien might have been one of my favorite movies of the year, and it was just a really simple. Movie, yeah. Did you see it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
fantastic. No, I saw it 3 times or twice in theaters, I think, and another time whenever it came out on streaming, and it's great. I don't know what we can do to get people to go see something like that instead of going to see The Flash and being pissed off about it 20 seconds later, even though they went into the movie expecting to be pissed off about it. Because that's what we do. We go see these things half expecting not to like them sometimes, instead of going to try to find something we actually enjoy.
There's another point of looking at this one as well. I think there's like that old saying, too much of a good thing. Back in the day, you would have 1, maybe 2 big summer blockbusters a year, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe 3. You'd have, those 3 movies that were like big budget. Like when the first Superman came out when I was a kid. It was a big deal. And it was like we hadn't seen a movie like that in ages. When the first Batman came out, it was a big deal. I remember when the first Batman with Michael Keaton came out, and then the year after, the BBC got it as their premiere. They used to have a big movie premiere on Christmas Day every year, and everybody would sit around and watch the big movie premiere. And video shops killed that.
But before or after the Murder Mysteries?
Before the Murder Mysteries, but after the comedy Christmas special. Whatever, like the Fawlty Towers Christmas special or whatever. The problem is though now we get, because of CGI and these things are a lot cheaper to make now, or well, no, they're not even cheaper to make, but because the studios are so desperate for that next $billion movie, we get how many blockbusters? The traditional blockbuster. You know what I mean? Like
you and your wife can bring the kids once a month to go see a blockbuster and have that paid for, because there's like a blockbuster every month.
It's too much of a good thing, and so it's not. It's
oversaturation.
At this point of it's not special anymore. We're too used to it. And to be honest, now the streaming services are doing better movies than what's going at the feature films at the cinema.
Well, Prey. That's like the epitome of the example, yeah.
Prey's probably one of the best sci-fi horror, definitely a sci-fi horror movie that we've had in years. It was brilliant. I'm trying to think of
smart enough. It was simple. Bare bones, it was great. No, I'm just talking about Prey. Like it just more films need to be done like that. It was grandiose in its own way, but it was simple, straightforward. It was intelligent, but not like too intelligent, not too dumb either. There was like still you could be like it's done with the hatchet stuff or something, but like
magic flowers. There was still some dumb bits in it, but it was creatively it was stripped back.
Yeah,
and that was very clever of him. And I don't know what Trachtenberg, I think it's his name, is going to do with the next one, because he can't John Wick it. It was very stripped back. The last John Wick movie was terrible because they overdid it. Now we've got all this money, throw it at the CGI, and it was just terrible.
Did you see the Continental episode 1?
I couldn't watch it. I couldn't follow it. I got really bored. I kept playing on my phone. So I don't think we'll be watching the second episode. So
the only reason I'm going to finish it is Mel Gibson, I think, at the moment. Just because you don't hire Mel Gibson to do nothing.
They varnished him.
The what?
He's a very dark brown color. Why have they varnished him? Do you call it varnish in the US? I don't know.
No, they do. Or we do, I guess.
I don't think.
But hasn't he just? He's kind of oranged himself over the last few. I think he's been in a tanning bed a little too long the last decade.
Yeah, he's a funny color. No, I don't think I'll be watching the next episode. But John Wick really, really irritated me. It's a tomahawk on a bungee rope, actually. But there were some dumb bits in that movie, but it was the way it was filmed is more to the point was that we were talking about strip back and the way it was designed.
Mhm.
But I'm trying to think of a sci-fi movie I enjoy. Now, Laura's saying there that enough sequels. We want sequels.
We do, but
I want when something does well, I want to see more of it. What I want though is I want intelligent sequels. I want sequels that aren't rushed just to make money, which we used to see that a lot. And I want to see it not just because a film has made money, but because it actually makes sense to make a sequel. Like Highlander is the ultimate example of that. Of oh my god, that film did really well. We must make a sequel. And then, but the writer must have just been like, literally, the tagline was there must only be one. Like, it makes no sense at all to make this a sequel. And obviously, it was awful because of that. So I like a sequel. I don't mind a prequel, but it's got to make sense, not just the money made, the film made money. Let's do another one. That's what does my head in. But sequels are fine when they're done right. Aliens is a sequel, and it's the best movie of the bunch.
So just kind of my thought process in there, because we were talking about how long it can take actors and all these, just the entire team for video games to make a video game. It can take a decade sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you think even if they're not like some, because the examples I'm giving are pretty high budget, but do you think if films were to take longer at times and not necessarily to take long for like this, the sake of taking longer, but hey, maybe we could do a little more pre-production to make it easier. Maybe actual shooting wouldn't take that long, but pre-production would be like twice as long and post-production would be 2 or 3 times as long. Would that make some more sense in a certain way? Kind of like the things that come to mind are Lord of the Rings, where they were all filmed at once, but allowed years for them to put them together.
But the pre-production was like, what, 3 years or something on the...
Yeah. And then Avatar also comes to mind, where Avatar 2, we were all like, oh, well, what's going to happen? It's going to be Ferngully in Space 2, which it was. And guess what? We still all went to go see it. And it's like the second or third highest grossing movie ever now because of that. And it didn't have the highest grossing opening weekend either.
It was exactly the same movie, just wetter.
Yeah.
It was exactly the same movie in almost every respect, just with whales in it.
But do you think taking that time and doing that
they're even doing it on streaming series. Look at Stranger Things.
Great example.
Between seasons because they've not rushed it. And even Netflix must have been screaming, for the love of God, get it on the screen. People like this, get it. But they knew to take their time, sort of thing. I do think there's an element of that now that they executives seem to be learning actually that they don't need to rush stuff and get it on screen because they get burned if it does. The problem is, I can't remember who we were talking to. I know I was listening to a Joe Flanagan interview, and he was basically saying the problem is a lot of executives' careers in these places are quite short, and they get moved around quite a lot. So they don't want to invest in something that's going to be 5 years down the line because they probably won't be there. There's no incentive for them to do that. That seems to be less. Things like Marvel as well. Marvel, the first couple of when it was actually good. They showed how actually people do have longer memories than they give them credit, and that they can drop things in a first movie that won't even get, the payoff will be in like the 6th or 7th movie, and they can do that. Executives seem to be getting wise to that with TV and movies, and we'll still always see, money grab movies because we will. But it does seem to be that the last couple of years, particularly of Marvel, have taught them that if they have to slow down because they've gone way too quick and it's suffered. And they seem to have realized that because we've looked at it, they've done it, they've pushed all the calendars and stretched them all out, and that's not just because of the strikes. It's because they've realized that Disney, was it Bob Iger basically with Star Wars went, there's way too much of this and cut a load out.
Yeah. Same thing with Marvel. He just said, y'all gotta stop, hold up, which I think is the best decision he's made in a decade, honestly.
They haven't made a decent Marvel anything for like 5 years, 6 years or something now. It's getting ridiculous. I don't even think Black Panther, people get excited about Black Panther 2. It's not that good. It's quite boring.
The only things I think recent memory that were the only good thing, like legitimately enjoyable thing, I think was Werewolf by Midnight or Werewolf by Night.
I enjoyed Loki. I thought I quite liked Loki.
I
The
like
Moon Knight was terrible.
actually.
Hawkeye was quite good.
I liked
Slightly disappointing in the end.
I like aspects of each of the shows, and they just all trail off in different ways.
Secret Invasion. I would rather.
Except that.
I would rather use a cheese grater on my testicles than watch that series again.
I'd rather watch She-Hulk again about 5 times in a row than have to watch Secret Invasion one more time.
Yeah, I think my nightmare would genuinely be when I go to hell, and I'm definitely going to hell. There's no question. I'll be warmer than the rest of you idiots in heaven, but they'll just be She-Hulk and then Moon Knight and then Secret Invasion on a loop, and I'll be forced to sit and watch them, and that'll be my.
There's a great song by the Dead South that says, "In three rounds in hell, I'll be in good company." So I'll get down there soon. Don't worry.
Oh no, don't worry. I'm going to quite enjoy hell. Satan's not going to punish us. Why would he?
Yeah.
He'd be like, "Do you like? What do I care? I'm Satan." So
if he's anything like Futurama, Robot Satan, I'll be okay with it.
Yeah, Futurama Satan. Come on, guy. I'm like the South Park Satan. Come on, guy. This is fair.
It'd be great. But I won't derail because I do like the kind of topics we're talking about. Just Futurama did actually put out. It was the season finale this episode, and it was a great episode. It felt very Rick and Morty at first, and it was like,
I've not watched it, and I'm not gonna. I'm not watched it, and I'm not gonna.
The rest of the season, I couldn't even say go for it. Like, oof. But okay. Going back to the quantity over quality, quality over quantity, all that kind of stuff. Because we've talked about it. I mean, we're almost backtracking what we were saying a couple weeks ago, where we would like more episodes of 24 seasons of 40 minutes. I mean, 24 episodes in a season with all 40 plus minute episodes. That's quality over quantity.
Right. No, because a lot of guys in the comments and stuff say that. You don't hear me say it. Certain shows, I think 22 episodes is great. Like cop shows. I love the Rookie 22 episodes, whatever.
Oh.
It's great. Murder mysteries sometimes, okay, maybe. No, not murder mysteries because there's not enough stories, and it always gets it comes, they always get those rubbish episodes. I don't think shows. A lot of people will say when Stargate comes back, I want 20 episodes. I want it. I want this. And I'm like, I think we've moved on.
I'm with
you. I don't miss the not having filler episodes. I don't generally miss. We look back on 20 episodes of The Next Generation fondly. There were some bad episodes in there. I watched Atlantis recently, and I love it. And don't get me wrong, 2/3 of the episodes are gold, and I will watch all of them. But some of the episodes are like the writers were struggling with this.
Yeah, you're like, was this necessary? Like, yeah.
They run out of ideas. So no, I don't think sci-fi shows or there are a lot of shows that don't need 22 episodes. 10 episodes is actually a nice number for a lot of things. And obviously they're far more expensive now. They take way longer to produce now because they're like mini movies nowadays.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I don't say that, but there are some shows though that work in that format, and there's some shows that just don't. And if they came back and said Stargate is going to be 22 episodes, don't get me wrong, I'm going to lose my mind, but I will be sitting there going, they're going to spend $200 million because they're not. So those episodes are all going to cost at least half what would have spent if they spent $100 million on 10.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to spend $100 million on 20. Well, they're not going to be as good. Or they're not going to have the money spent on them. And a sci-fi movie needs the money. A series, needs money spent on it. It just does.
And if it's not money, they need time to spend on it. And
well, yeah,
it's one or the other typically.
Or it's going to be a very different show. Now, they were able to do it back in the day, though, because our expectations were very different. TV and movie were very separate. Yes. This is a movie. This is TV. We don't have the same expectations of TV anymore. Thanks to streaming, our expectations of TV are up with, like, we expect them to be almost cinema quality. Look at how much money they spent on Rings of Power, and people still bitched about the CGI. Our expectations are just different. So I
We were
want
talking about Ring of
22
Power
episodes.
yesterday.
Well, yeah. I want 22 episodes, but unfortunately, being a realist, and I'm boring like that, I know, in a way, I don't. What I would want with Stargate or any other big sci-fi series like that is I love the idea of I like what Star Wars is doing. I like the idea of it that we have 2 seasons a year sort of thing, of a different sort of show with different story arcs that intertwine with each other and what have you.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna change this slightly. One of the things I like about streaming services is that you're not forced into the calendar that the old, that the TV, like ABC and what have you have. So they want 22 episodes because it fits the calendar. They want that twice a year, and then they have a couple of weeks with the calendar for Christmas and stuff where they do different things.
Yeah.
So that's what they need it to fit the calendar. Streaming, you don't need to do that. You can do a story. You can have as many episodes as you need. So if you've got a story idea and you need 12 hours, you can have 12 hours. If you've got a story idea and you only need 6, jobs are good and do 6. We're happy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think I want a series as long as the story fits. And we sometimes get that, but also what we sometimes get is they do 10 and the last 2 episodes are crap because they've rushed it.
Or you get 6 or 8 episodes where it should have been 10 episodes and you can feel it. And it's just like,
well, look at The Witcher last year, and they realized they decided halfway through that they were just going to do 4 episodes, 3 episodes or 4 episodes. It was supposed to be 6, and you can tell because halfway through, I actually genuinely think halfway through they went, "This is shit."
yeah.
And I think they realized, and Netflix were like, "We just need to like try and cut our losses."
Spent too much money, just put it out, do something. Yeah.
Yeah, but as many episodes as the story needs, I honestly think is the way it should be done, and a lot of the time it's the way it is done with streaming services. So look, if you've got a storyline and you need 22 episodes, okay, and shows like The Rookie and things like that are going to always do that. But big sci-fi shows, they just cost too much money now. But I'm going to change that as well. I say that Star Trek spends way too much money every episode, and there's way too much CGI. There's way too much stuff. It's not necessary. So actually, I wouldn't mind if Stargate did a lot less. They could spend $5 or $6 million an episode on Stargate, and I will be a very happy bunny. They spend $9 or $10 million an episode on Star Trek, and it's just a CGI vomiting all over the screen, and sometimes it's too much.
Obviously, I'm not a big Star Trek person. I'm not in those circles per se, but I don't like seek out the numbers, but Star Trek shows just aren't viewed all that much. They're never making it in the top 10 of Nielsen's. And
no, they do.
They do?
So Strange New Worlds, they're doing better. Strange New Worlds did. Season 2 did. Season 1 did as well. Discovery, I don't think ever has. But Picard season 3 was the top of the Nielsen
good.
rating, and that's the first time a Star Trek series has got to the top of the Nielsen rating.
Okay.
So it's watched. The problem with Star Trek that they've got is that it costs too much for how many people are watching it.
That's what I'm thinking. And honestly, obviously, we want them to spend more money on Stargate. As we don't want them to spend. We want them to spend the necessary money. But it would be nice if they gave them a good budget, at least coming back into it.
Well,
do you think
rumor
starting
was
off $8-10 million? And
well, the rumor was a year ago or 18 months ago, Mark Ferguson wanted $10 million an episode.
That's right.
One rumor came back, and this wasn't true, but one rumor on another channel said, well, they offered 1 million. They didn't. Amazon came back and said 4, which I think they were lowballing them, but that's what they spent on The Expanse. So I think that's where they were sort of going. This is the sort of level we want. So can you do it for The Expanse money? Remember when he's talking to the guy that did The Expanse?
Yeah.
And then sort of apparently they were sort of like 7 or 8. And this was the conversation they had. Now then Jennifer Salke stepped in and went, actually, you know what, guys, we're going to do a movie anyway. So don't worry about it for now. We're doing the movie first anyway. So, but that was the sort of money they were talking about. And I think they'd have settled, I think $5 or $6 million an episode would have been about right. Because Stargate isn't as much about the big special effects as much. It's just as much about the people. And Star Trek have forgotten that a little bit, that actually we want the people. Yes, we want the space battle. Yes, we want a bit of sci-fi, but we want more of the people and the thing, and we don't need as much of the special effects and the CGI as they think we need. 1 or 2 good space battles a season, we'd be happy.
I mean, okay, so I just looked something up just while we were talking. I my brain went to what did I just finish yesterday, and I'm just super ecstatic about. I thought Foundation was a lot more expensive. Season 1 was only $45 million.
What was that, sir?
45.
$45 million, yeah, for 10 episodes. And that level of the CGI in it, and it's beautifully made. It's
fantastic. Corridor Crew, that VFX house that does the little YouTube videos that I talk about kind of frequently, they've had people on there from the team, and just they're gushing over it all the time. Rightfully freaking so. I mean, maybe because my first instinct is say, hey, Stargate's coming back. Give it that $8 or $10 million, and then course correct after season 1 and give it what's necessary, because then you'll have like a gauge.
I think they're going to go. I think it'll be $4 or $5 million an episode. I think they'll be spending $50 million on a 10 episode, but with a caveat. I think they'll be leaning very heavily on a lot of the stuff they then do for the movie. So they'll spend a lot of money on the movie that they'll get to use on the series. So that this whole idea is to have this like 3 sound stages that are doing all this work at once. So they can spend, you know what studios are like as well. They're very good at moving money around because they don't really want stuff to make money if they can. And they like stuff to just break even a lot. So they move money around quite a lot. And so I would suggest that regardless of what things on the sheets, on the spreadsheets, all these things break even, because then there's a lot less tax involved. And then they can cover the stuff that doesn't make money, sort of thing. So yeah, that's how this works. The budget for the movie and the budget for the TV series are going to look lower than we'd like, but honestly, don't worry about it, because there's going to be a lot more of that dollar on the screen, because they're going to be wasting a lot less. There's going to be a lot less inefficiency and things like that, because they'll be using the same. And the beautiful thing about this is as well, things like renting the cameras and stuff is horrendously expensive.
Oh, insanely.
But it'll be spread over both projects, sort of thing. Building the sets, we're going to get cinema quality and cinema scope on the TV screen, because they'll just walk over the road and use the set. And if this actually is what happens, because this is still just an idea, I think, at the moment, and they've got the practicality of actually doing it might be a lot harder. But if that is what gets done, we could see, like I said, it's getting the dollars on the screen is the point. And they've actually got a chance with this. The way they seem to be winding up towards it, they could still poop the scoop. They could still royally fuck it up. But that seems to be the theory. But how many times do good ideas get screwed over by the politics? So let's see what actually happens. But
far too often.
Dude, I'm sorry. I'm going to call it an evening, if you don't mind, because that rant has really, really given me a headache.
No, we'll call it a day. We are hour 23. I thought it was going to be like a 45, 50-minute episode. We went a lot longer than I expected, honestly. So it was an excellent episode, I thought, overall.
A lot of fun. A lot of fun, as always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let me.
I don't even need to pee. We're at the end of a video here, and I don't need to pee.
So that means I can take back my catheter order for you for Christmas, right?
I haven't drank, but I do need painkillers.
That might help. All right, we're rolling. I can't even speak. We're rolling this outro. We're calling it a day. I think I'll do some Starfield gaming on GCubed. So y'all come say howdy there today. It's Wednesday. Yeah, I think we'll either be back Friday morning for more film news, maybe more tomorrow. It just depends on if film news starts coming out a hell of a lot more again now that these things are finished. You know what? Maybe this Friday, I might try to get Greg on, because if tomorrow they do, or if tonight / tomorrow morning they finalize everything and actually publicize what the deal is, It'd be fun to talk about that again. And
let's get Chambers back as well. He seemed like a good guy.
Yeah, that'd be
He
fun.
laughed at a couple of my jokes as well, so I like him.
So it matters, you know. But yes, always fun. Thank y'all for being here. I couldn't, especially with this on. Yeah, you know, it's not the best one. I'll give you some good ones later, but we'll start building.
There we go.
Those two short ones. We need one elongated, one short. Can you do it?
Cowboy.
Oh, never mind. We're getting into the stormy territory there. Anyway, before we get into there, I'm gonna roll this intro. We're calling it a day. Like, comment, subscribe, share it to all your people. Thank y'all for being here. Follow on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all that good stuff. Follow this one. Follow this man anywhere and everywhere. Y'all, I mean, you'll probably already do, but if you haven't, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing?
Hello. More to go to sidetrack.co.uk. Go to the website.
Precisely. Sidetrack.co.uk.
Where I
you don't even need a .com anymore. It's perfect.
No, .co.uk. I'm afraid we couldn't get .com. But .co.uk. And we're British. We're proud of it now. Boom.
You know.
But go and enjoy some of my writing skills. And I'm horribly dyslexic. So if anybody has any spelling mistakes, I don't give a shit. So,
if you noticed them, you didn't. You know.
Yeah. Okay. Or grammatical errors. Don't give a shit. So, you can explain to me why it's a grammatical error. I won't understand it. So don't bother.
Yeah.
Just leave me alone.
Things happen.
Yeah.
Do no whip snap. Fine. Yeah.